I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. Let all on the earth and in heaven sing. Jesus is the source of David and heir to his throne. If you find and follow Jesus, you will never be alone. He is the bright morning star. He is the God who's never far. The Spirit and the bride say, come. Let anyone who hears this say, come. Let anyone who is thirsty come, because the work of the cross is done. Drink freely from the water of life. The way and truth is Jesus Christ. He sent an angel to present this revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of 7. He comes with the clouds of heaven. Comes with the clouds of heaven. This revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of 7. He comes with the clouds of heaven. He comes with the clouds of heaven.
All right, welcome everybody. We are here tonight, and good to be here. And yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think we got it. Okay. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. We're here. I want to answer some questions tonight, talk about some really cool things, and see what you guys think about it. Keep me a holler. It will be worth it, I think. All right, I sent out some texts tonight, asking people or telling people what do they think about certain things. They got 4 different items on there. And let's see here. Let's go here and get this up. Yeah. All right. So some of the things that I asked were about some words that we've given before about America never being great again like it used to be. Is it already there? Did we miss it? What's going on? What do we know? And what's really up, for sure. All right, that we will look at tonight and do it very happily, very joyously, of course. I got something messed up here. I'll be right back. I think I got it. You know, a bit warmer these days, and yeah. So there you go, and we are here tonight to talk about some very, I think, very interesting subjects tonight. I sent some text out earlier, getting people to think about what we're going to talk about tonight. And if you have any responses, anything, you can be sure and get them up there. We'd be glad to try to answer them. Maybe you disagree, maybe you agree, maybe not any of that, maybe all of it. Who knows? All right. So there we go. All right. Okay. All right. We're ready for the hunting time, right? All right. So if you got questions, make sure and get them in here tonight. If you agree or disagree or whatever, we'd like to hear about it. See what you got to say about it. Maybe get some perspective what you think is happening. We're kind of like, there's a lot going on since the Iran war has been happening, and there's a lot to be worked with that thing because one of the things that's happening is, I don't know if you guys are aware of it or not, but they're talking about stagflation a little bit, a possibility of it because of what happened in the 70s. Though I don't think it's as bad as it was in the 70s yet. But the problem is that not just me saying this, but these are, like our Fed chair uh, is saying things like, you know, they're talking about it, right? So the very thing that I want to share with you tonight is basically about the thing that I feared several months ago when I talked to everyone about what I was seeing in the realm of if we have a problem with our economy, if our economy goes weird or sideways for some reason or another, before Texas gets its system set up, then because the system that Texas is setting up is really basically a net for what is happening, right? Something else is still going wrong. Hang on a second. Yeah, I think I got it that time. Yeah. All right, we're here and we're back. All right, so that's what we're looking at, and so we're looking at, do we still have the possibility of China, Russia, and other countries that are against us or that are in competition with us? Are they still working a thing where they're going to try to take the U.S. down before the Trump net, I'm calling it the net, like the net to save in case things do go down, that we will have a safety net for it, which is a really great idea. I think he came with a really great idea on that. And so, are we going to have that safety net up in time? And is it possible that right now we could have stagflation, which stagflation is really not good at all, really bad actually. It's the worst. And we are having talk about that, not just from me, but from the Federal Reserve just a few days ago. right? So what we're going to look at real quick is we're going to kind of share with you the possibilities so you have something to pray about. I do not believe that this is going to happen, but it's a real battle. There's a real warfare going in the heavens right now. As you know, what's happening with Iran and Michael. I haven't talked about that yet. As clearly as of late about Michael and the warfare going in the heavens over Iran as we speak. I really believe it's happening. And I'll talk more about that hopefully soon. I got it in my notes to talk about it. I'm just waiting for the right time. So what is this battle all about? Is it a financial destruction of the United States of America? Is it possible that we could still, you know, hit the fan and have some major issues before we get our net up? Our net is going to begin to go up September of this year, 2026, and we've been talking about this for I think about several months about the Texas system is in the United States Genius Act by Donald Trump was all designed to prepare a net in case things went down. And so, is it going to be ready in time? We still got it going on. It's in the process. Even if things did go fast, even if they do what I feared that I was very concerned that they would do, and that is China and Russia would take advantage of a situation that could cause our economy to go bad rather quickly. As you can see, the possibility of this with what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz is one of the greatest examples of a quick way to take down an economy is have the Strait of Hormuz going down, which Iran is mostly the one that has the ability to shut it down. And so that's why we're getting rid of that. But are we going to get rid of it in time? Are we going to have a delay? What's going on? Will our economy, will our stock market, as we talked about, what a couple 3 or 4 months ago about the next problem is going to be the stock market, a possibility problem with the stock market, and we've talked about that. You know, in case you weren't able to listen to that, we talked about that. That is kind of looking like a possibility right now because of one thing, and that is the Strait of Hormuz and the war in Iran. Even though we're doing really good at that, Trump is doing an amazing job. The U.S. is really whooping up, and it's really, really a great thing. And so, some of the questions that I put out tonight were some things I've talked about, and that is, did America experience a Nineveh turn after Trump's assassination attempt? If so, if anything, what changed about America's greatness? Is America become greater than it was before? Has it been in the process of that since Trump has taken it? It's definitely doing better, no doubt about it. It really doing really good. But the dust hasn't settled yet, so we really don't know about that. So, but it's looking really good. It's looking like it could make me look like a false prophet. I mean, honestly, it's not. That's not going to happen. But it's looking like when the dust all settles, that's when you look back and you go, yeah, well, we're great, but we're not great in the same way we were before. So, what does the same way we were before mean? What does that all mean? And what's happening with that? We're going to talk about that tonight and give you some idea of what's happening and what could happen and what's in the process of happening, a possibility right now. Like I said, I don't believe that our market is going to have a long term problem. I don't think our economy is going to have a long term problem at this point. Uh, so that's why Trump has started the Genius Act law. He passed into law in I think June or July, and then Texas passed the uh, bullion depository with the debit card. Passed that into law too. It's going to take a year to get that thing growing and rolling good. Not maybe not quite a year. It's going to start in September, and September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So we're looking at about 8 months, 7 to 8 months before it will be actually proven and worked into the system to work for sure. So will they have it done faster? We don't know. We're just going to work with the information that we have. Okay. So I'm just telling you that as of right now, we have a high level possibility of stagflation. We have a high possibility of our stock market being knocked down rather good and fast or bad and fast. This is what China wants. It wants it to happen before September, kicks in, and The sooner the better for them. That is no longer a far-fetched thing, as we talked about 4 months ago, specifically that this could happen. I didn't know exactly how it was going to happen. I know it was going to be about Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. Although we gave words about Iran, we didn't talk about the Strait of Hormuz because I don't really didn't know about that. To be honest with you, but you can see how that the overall fear that I had about China and Russia coming in and pushing us over the edge, which would not be that hard to do. And using the Strait of Hormuz is probably one of the greatest, most powerful strategies that they have right now in their grip, and are showing the world that they have that grip and that they could cause us some major, major issues, if not just the United States, the globe, right? Which that will turn everybody against Trump, and yes, so the global people will be against. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that he's going to form his global economy with the Texas and the Genius Act involved in that, and with Elon Musk satellite system to be able to put it in action around the globe. We have our own satellite system besides the one world government satellite system. We have our own satellite system that's called Elon Musk from Texas now, and so here's what as of a few days ago, here's what the Fed Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, if you don't know who that is, that's the guy who runs the Federal Reserve. A lot of people don't like the Federal Reserve, but they yield power right now, so we're going to talk about them the way they are. So Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chair, the guy who runs it, pushed back against the narrative that the U.S. economy is entering a period of stagflation. I got this right off the news. I did not add anything to this. That the U.S. economy is entering a period of stagflation. He's arguing against it, arguing that the current economic environment is significantly different than 1970 when stagflation hit last time. Right, despite rising oil prices right now caused by the Iran conflict, and increased treasury market volatility. In other words, treasuries is what China buys, Russia buys. That China owns a lot of treasury. In other words, they're invested in the United States, but there's an increased conflict with treasuries market volatility. In other words, making the dollar change in its value. Jerome Powell stated in March, this is March right now, we're still in March, that he does not see current signs of stagflation. The fact that they're talking about it is amazing, okay? This is the thing. This was happening just a few days ago because people are talking about this. And of course, we got negative people talking about it, people who want the economy to crash. You have people who don't want it to crash, and kind of have to look kind of in between. And, so Powell's late March, which has just happened, perspective. The 1970s comparison rejected. Which is 1970s is when they had the last stagflation. Following the Federal Open Market Committee meeting on March the 18th, just recently, 2026, Powell said that while there is tension between the goals, GOALS, low unemployment versus high inflation, the situation is not comparable to the 1970s, which was defined by double-digit unemployment and much higher inflation. All right, so he's saying that it's not there yet, but the fact that they're talking about it with everything that's going on, and Russia and China wanting to push the U.S. economy off the edge because our dollar rules the world, basically. It's a global economy. It's a global currency for the most part. All right, so energy prices and inflation risk, right? Energy prices, right now, gas going up, and inflation risk. Powell acknowledged that the Iran war introduced spike in energy prices surging above $100 a barrel, has raised upward pressure on inflation. So he's saying there's an inflation pressure thing going on. He warned that this could create downward pressure on spending and employment. All right, here's the wait and see stance that he has. Despite the pressures, the Fed kept the rates steady in March 2026, just a few days ago, with officials indicating that they will hold rates at 3.5 to 3.75% while they wait for more clarity on how the oil shock affects inflation. So in other words, we're going to be waiting for the next few weeks in the next few months to see how the oil shock in prices affects inflation, which is going to be, even though the dollar's looking better right now, but you got a better dollar with oil prices going high, it creates stagflation, which is what we're talking about tonight. All right, remember, I do not believe this is going to happen, but there's some warfare going on. And China and Russia want this to happen. They want us to have stagflation because it will put them in a better position to win and to take over things. It's a battle between China, Russia, the dictatorial nations, and the U.S. and our shepherd nations, global nations. That's what I call it, the shepherd. The shepherd. All right. So despite the pressures, the Fed keeps rates steady in 2026. Right. So they're going to look and see how the oil shock affects inflation and if it is temporary. So if it's not temporary, if it's entrenched in the system, uh, similar to their view on tariff-related price hikes, because they had to look and wait and see whether tariff-related price hikes were going to get entrenched into uh, affecting our economy, right? And we just went through the tariff thing. And Trump still says he thinks tariffs are good, and they sound good to me. I really don't know. But all I'm saying to you, friend, is that they are talking about this. So there's the upward risk on inflation. Powell specifically noted that the Middle East development has created near-term measure on inflation expectations that have risen in recent weeks, causing the Fed to be concerned about the impact on long-term inflation. So in other words, if oil continues to go up or stays up for 3 or 4 months, and this war has a delay in it, then we could have a problem. This is what China and Russia and North Korea want, of course. So here's your praying point. Pray that Donald Trump and God, mainly God and Donald Trump in the United States of America, and will be able to put together the strategy that will stop this thing, because right now it's not looking real good, but it could look real good real quick. So it's a major problem. It's a major possible issue. And this is what makes me know that the reservations I was having 3 or 4 months ago, if you heard me almost crying over it, that they need to hurry up and get this thing done, because if Russia and China have a chance to mess this thing up, they will. So why do you think Russia and China are helping out Iran to delay the war? I think they pretty well know that America is going to win it. But if they can delay it and get inflation to kick in heavy, within, delay it for a few months instead of just 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 10 weeks, to delay it, 20 weeks or 30 weeks. If they can do that, this is what I saw months ago. Right here on the show, I talked about it. Most of you probably heard that. But so this is definitely something you need to be praying about, that the Strait of Hormuz situation will straighten out, will get lined out, and they will begin to find a way to do this and have it be safe and consistent. It's going to have to be consistent, because these ships going through there with oil, they don't want to take any chance on losing their money on that. It's a really big deal. It's a really, really big deal. So it not only needs to be safe, but consistently safe. All right. So we're looking at inflation expectations in the recent weeks, and so we're looking at a possible long-term inflation. If that happens, then we're going to have stagflation, which is worse than inflation. All right. So I do not think, again, I want to repeat this, I do not think we're going to go there. But this is something you can pray about, right? We're going to see the Iran regime be taken down. That is a word of the Lord. That's going to happen for sure. But as I talked about a couple of nights ago, the wise virgin and the foolish virgin, the delay thing Will the delay thing situation of Russia and China helping out Iran fight off the US drag this thing on, not just for years, but just for several months, enough to kick that in and cause the US a lot of regret and pain, wishing the world wishing you hadn't have done this war. So the fear that people have is that this is going to happen. It is not going to happen. Will there be delays? That's what I don't know. That's what I'm concerned about. We have this thing kicking in September with the Texas laws of the bullion depository with the debit card that's been kicked in and being activated and working of September 2026, which is just a few months away. And then we have a whole year or 8 months or so that they're going to have to work it and get it to work out all the bugs and say, okay, we have it now, and that's going to be May of 2027, as they say, not me saying that, they're saying it. So why are you telling us this, Brother Chandler? How come you're not preaching the Word of God and giving us some scripture? I am preaching the Word of God. Basically, that's what I'm doing. Uh, so here's the questions that I asked, brought up today. Did America experience a Nineveh turn, like Nineveh repented and turned after Trump's assassination attempt? If so, if anything, what changed about America's greatness? Is America great right now? America is doing really great right now in many ways, but it's still on the verge of stagflation. So is it greater? Well, we got to wait till the dust settles. I've always said that America would be great, but not great like it used to be. That remains to be seen. Right now, to me, it's not there yet. I'm not a false prophet yet on that. Okay, so that's not happening yet. The dust hasn't settled. We're on the verge, and not me talking about it. I've already talked about it months ago about this issue going on right now about stagflation, inflation, and so it's really a big deal right now. So I'm still not a false prophet. Okay, so all y'all want to know. America is looking like it's really great right now, and we hope it is great, right? But the dust hasn't settled with this thing yet. So Trump has been in for what? Over a year and a few months. Great job, doing a great job, really great job in my opinion. Going to war with Iran is the word of the Lord, so I believe that that's right. It's the delay that I'm concerned about. Okay, the second thing I mentioned here in my text, my group text, America. I said America. I've said this many times that America would be a godly nation and great, but not great like before. Is America now greater than it was before? Not yet. It's working on it. He's doing a great job. I hope if I ever wanted to be wrong about something, I hope I'd be wrong about that. I've always said America is going to be great, but just not as great as not great in the same way it was before, in the same way that it was before, right? So right now it's looking really great. So all right. So the third thing I put down there: Will America, Texas' new global shepherd system, save people globally from tyrants like China, Russia, and North Korea dictatorial system that they have planned for many years? They have planned this takeover for many years, waiting for the right opportunity to present itself. Right now, we have a great opportunity for their hopes, China's and Russia's hopes, the dictatorial people, to take over a lot of the nations right now. Because if America fails in this situation, which I do not believe they're going to do, but if there is a delay, it's really going to cause some real fear, and some people who are not making enough money to make ends meet, they are going to have some real problems. I call them, for the most part, not all of them, foolish virgins who've been warned, we've admonished people to change some things and do some things, and I'm not just here at PGM, but I've done this with a lot of people. Try to get them to get themselves, in good shape and get a job, go to work, get something going on, get out there and work your instincts to be successful as I believe God wants you to be. And so, yeah, so those people may be the foolish virgins that have to stop everything and go buy oil, and then they end up being too late, because too late means you're not going to be able to partake of the gold and silver situation here at PGN, because you've not been faithful to God. If God told you to do that, and you have gotten yourself in danger and become a foolish virgin and trying to get oil from other people, and they're saying no to you, which they should say no, you're going to have to go get your own oil. And therefore, that is going to mean that you are not going to make it into the gold and silver situation. So please be careful whether you give your oil away or not, because you may not make it. The whole thing with the wise giving their oil to the foolish was that the wise ones weren't going to make it. The same situation. Being faithful to God. Be faithful to God. Whatever you do, be faithful to God. Okay, so Powell specifically noted that the Middle East developments have created near-term measures of inflation expectations that have risen in recent weeks, causing the Fed to be concerned about the impact of long-term inflation. I just read that. I just read it again. So I want you to please hear that. However, some analysts, now watch this. Here, I'm going to finish up right here with this part of it. Some analysts, such as KPMG chief economist Diane Swank, observed that the Fed's March 2026, just recently, projections, which indicated a fear of stagnation by shifting a lower growth, higher inflation, and higher unemployment forecast, suggest a fear of stagflation despite Powell's refusal to use the term. So, in other words, the fact that Powell lowered growth and higher inflation and higher unemployment forecast suggests that he has a fear of stagflation, which is worse than inflation. Now, like I said, again, I'm going to repeat myself many times. I do not believe it's going to go there, but it's something to pray about. And it depends on how much the delay is of how many people are affected by this. That's the thing that really concerns me, that people that have been fiddling around, doing whatever, playing games, trying to believe, hoping for their own things, being foolish, are going to find themselves in big trouble and having to go buy their own oil, meaning they're going to miss their appointment with the blessing. And you don't want to do that. Enter in with the bridegroom. I'm talking about it as being the gold and silver thing, or a lot of other things, but that's the main local thing that we talk about here. So please be wise and do not be foolish. Do not give your oil, because it will cause you to be in a position where you don't get blessed. You don't make it. And you do not want that. I do not want that for you. Yeah, it's going to hurt some feelings. Be strong, be courageous, do what God says. Those people are only fools because they've been warned and didn't do anything about it. Now, if they can change that real quick, that would be great. All right. So, will America's Texas new global shepherd system save people globally from the tyrants of China, Russia, and North Korea dictatorial system? Yes. That's the whole word of the Lord about that we've been giving since 2021 about Trump's, about saying that we're going to have our own economy, our own currency. We're going to have our own satellite system to do the trading. We're going to have it globally. We've talked about this since 2021. And the whole thing. So, yes, Texas and America, most of America, will definitely help people and save them from the mark of the beast, China, Russia, tyrant system. Right. They've planned this for many years. And this is right now, what's happening is ought to show all of us that what I talked about, what God showed me several months ago, before any of this stuff happened with the war, that this could be a possibility, stagflation. And if it hits us too early, it still could hit us. But if we're prepared and ready, that's the preparation. What is preparation? It's the September 2026 act, that the law that Trump passed, the Genius Act, And even though you don't, I'm not going to explain all that what that means. And the Texas Bullion Depository making gold and silver usable through a debit card, which backs up the inflationary thing really big time. Uh, right. So okay, so let's go here. All right. I think I've talked about most everything here. The financial commentaries are talking about stagflation right now. Supply shock, driven by a dual threat environment, foreign foreign selling of U.S. Treasuries, and geopolitical conflict in the Middle East. Stagflation risk factors. Foreign central banks and official institutions have slashed their Treasury holdings at the New York Fed to their lowest level since 2012, with an 82 billion decline, $82 billion decline occurring since late February 2026. That's this year. That's like 1 month ago. I don't know if you heard that or not. I'm documenting this tonight and getting in the algorithm, but also I want you to try to hear it if you can. I'm going to make it really simple so we can get it. Remember, we talked about the central banks buying uh, historical amounts of gold uh, since 2022. Historical amounts of gold. Why do they do that? Because they know that this right here that we're fearing right now, they knew that this was a possibility, which we've talked about for several months. We talked about this, that they knew the reason they were buying so much gold was because they knew that this stagflation thing could hit anytime. Something go wrong. I don't think anybody knew that we were going to war with Iran. Nobody knew exactly what it was going to be, and nor did I exactly. But I knew that it was going to happen because of the word of the Lord. And I had a fear that China and Russia would push us off the edge too quick. Not that it would just totally destroy America, but that it would put a lot of people in a lot of trouble. And people are more prepared for this, we'll do much better. Those who are not prepared for it will not do so good. But if we are settled and strong before it all kind of crumbles, that part of it crumbles, then those who are not prepared or ready will not have as hard of a time as they would if it happens and a delay happens, like the foolish virgin delay of the bridegroom, and they ran out of oil. The same thing. It's the same thing exactly. And this has happened within an $82 billion decline since a couple of months ago, since February. This sell off drives up yields and borrowing costs as lower demand for bond forces prices down, and interest rates up, right? Bond forces prices down and interest rates are up, right? This is in February of 2026. It was a sell-off of the thing. This is one of the things that I told you I was concerned about, was that they would drop their treasury holdings, which creates that problem. All right, and it's happening. It started happening. February 2026 was the biggest decline since 2012. $82 billion in decline buying treasuries. That's in 2026, February 2026. Right? It's a sell-off. It's not a good sign. Geopolitical oil shock. Here's the oil shock thing. The conflict involving Iran has triggered one of the most significant oil shocks in decades, with prices surging over 40% and crossing the $100 per barrel mark. This acts as a supply shock that simultaneously fuels inflation and slows economic growth by increasing production costs. This is one thing that the gold and silver strategy is all about, is saving people from what this is going to do, now or later. All right, immediate impact and timing, early 2026. All right, volatility, treasury market volatility is heightened as investors reach to sudden intersection of high inflation, and rising interest rates. Let me read that again. Treasury market volatility. Treasury means that China and Russia decide to sell, get rid of their treasury investment, cash out, whatever. It heightens, uh, the volatility is heightened as investors react to the sudden intersection of high inflation and rising interest rates. Right. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but just hang on. The USD, US dollar, and interest rate concerns. Will a stronger dollar typically keep some commodity prices in check? The current environment has forced the Federal Reserve into a wait and see posture, right? In other words, wait and see means they're really watching this. Fed officials have warned that the Iran war, could keep inflation high while leaving growth unchanged, potentially delaying planned rate cuts or even necessitating hikes to stabilize expectations. Potentially delaying planned rate cuts and even necessitating hikes to stabilize expectation. Right. Stagflation definition. Commentators use this term because the U.S. faces the classic 1970 style combination of stagnant growth due to high energy, borrowing costs, and high inflation driven by oil and supply chain disruptions, which is what we have right now in Iran. Now, the U.S. has some oil going on there, but this is not just about the U.S., it's about the global economy and putting pressure on the U.S. Despite the risk, Jerome Powell stated in late March 2026, just a few days ago, that he does not view stagflation as a near-term risk. It is worst case form double-digit unemployment and inflation. Though the acknowledged, though he acknowledged that the upward risk on inflation due to the war, that it was there. There is an upward risk of inflation due to the war. Okay, so pray that this thing ends up good and does really right. Uh, all right. So number four I have here is Trump's dollar strategy to slowly withdraw global from the dollar's undeniable failure. Uh, yeah, it's Trump's dollar strategy. I didn't write that right. It's to slowly withdraw the globe from the dollar's undeniable failure. We hope that it's not too slow. We hope that it's going to work because they've already passed the laws. They got it in action. Uh, but is it going to help people that are really having struggles already? It's going to be hard on them. It's going to be really, really hard on them. But as far as the net being placed, it is being placed in action. And the next few months, if inflation continues, if oil prices continue and they do not settle this war before September 2026, that's when this net kicks in, and it's going to have to be worked for several months. That we're going to have some pressure going on. I'm just kind of be right. I know people don't want to hear this, but it's hard. But I'm just telling you right up front that that's what's going on. Okay, I hope that made sense. And if you have any questions about any of that, I know that I didn't make that real clear because it's not even clear for, even though I did it, I understand it because I've been warning about this specific thing happening right before we get ready to put our net out to save the economy, to save the U.S. economy. And it's not really just about the dollar crashing or just about because the dollar is, see, the thing is right now the dollar is doing better, but at the same time with high fuel prices, it creates inflation, which creates stagflation. You see what I'm saying? So even though your dollar may be looking really good, the economy crashes because the oil prices are high, and so you had to spend more money to buy your products, and so you look like you have more money, but you really don't. The dollar looks better, and it seemingly looks better, but it is not better because prices are going to go higher. Therefore, it's stagflation. Now, I keep saying, repeating this because I want to make sure that I'm letting everyone know that I'm not saying that we will not have delays. We've warned about that with the foolish wise and foolish virgin teaching that we've done a lot on, and I've tried to specifically in detail warn people to make sure that you're not a foolish virgin, right? Including myself, right? We've worked on that really hard. I've shared that many, many times. So that's kind of what's going on with that, and I have more to talk about, of course, but that's kind of the big deal thing that's happening right in front of our face. And if I hadn't have talked about it, prophetically spoken about it for several months now, I don't know if you've been able to listen to those shows. I gave a lot of information. I know it's hard to process a lot of that information. I try to make it simple at the end for all of us, but we've talked about every bit of this and happening right before the net hits. And this is what happens. What blows my mind is that this is actually happening. The possibility of it, and we're going to have it. We're going to have the blessing no matter what. But how much delay are we going to have? That's what the big question is, friend. There's no doubt that Iran is going to be the regime is going to be taken down. We have word of the Lord on that. I believe it. It's going to happen. But in the process of doing that, the delay is what's going to really mess up the foolish virgins, and the wise virgins are going to be very tempted to be fools, and we'll probably have a few of those here and there. I'm talking about. I don't know. I'm not necessarily talking about just BGN. I'm talking about in general, right? So it's just mind-boggling to me. I can't even hardly believe it that we're actually facing the very thing I shared of my fear of. Because what's happening is Russia and China are getting in on the war not because they want Iran to win only, but because they want to delay America. I think they believe America's going to win because we attacked first and we attacked hard and we got positioned fast. We made the first move. We were the wise virgins in that sense. They were caught off guard. They can't believe it happened. That was good. We are going. Plus, we have a word from the Lord about it. April, I got all the documented from April, May, June, July. April, May, June, July. We talked about it 8 to 10 times at least, and sometimes 2 or 3 times during each show. I really wore y'all out on that one, but guess what? I might have been talking about the Iran regime being taken down and what a big deal it was, but look how the world is making a big deal out of it right now. So think about that the next time I get obsessed with things and repeat them a lot. Because my obsession, when it's prophetic, means that the world is going to be obsessed with it soon. And that's exactly what happened. So April 2024, May 2024. If you want those shows, we can go exactly see what it was said. Sometimes we said Iran would be taken down in part through Azerbaijan. I think one of the first times we talked, maybe the second time we talked about it, I used the word in part, that Iran would be taken down in part. I think the exact wording that I have, in part, you can listen to it yourself. Iran regime will be taken down in part through Azerbaijan. And then other times we just said explaining the Iran regime, not the people. We explained and later that it was Mossad. I got one of those shows between April and July talks about Mossad a couple of times, how it's Mossad, although they never took credit for it. Did the work on that. It was the only helicopter that went down. It went down in Azerbaijan, East Province, Azerbaijan, in Iran, and they were in Azerbaijan celebrating a dam. They built a dam there, and they were celebrating their unity on the dam that they built together between Azerbaijan and Iran. They were there at the border of Azerbaijan and Iran when they were celebrating, and then the helicopter took off. The third helicopter took off, had the Iran regime president in it. It's the only one that went down. The only one that went down. And we just warned about it 34 days before that. Not specifically about a helicopter, but that the Iran regime would go down in part through uh, Azerbaijan. I mean, people have been saying we're not hearing that much about Azerbaijan. I thought you said Azerbaijan was going to be the big thing going on there. It was the big thing. It still is. And Azerbaijan's not going to be able to talk about how they were used until the war's over, because if they start talking about the details, Iran's going to take it out on them big time. That's why I warned everybody when I gave that information. I sent a text out before saying I might get in trouble over this, and most people just look at me like, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, I knew what it meant. That's why I asked for prayer. How often do I ask for prayer specifically about things like that? I hardly ever do it for specificity. So, yeah, it's all about Azerbaijan, and you're going to find out when they can talk about it. I already know uh, the some of the details, how they used Azerbaijan and used the Caspian Sea, which is on the border of Azerbaijan, and also the border of Iran, how they used it. And when it all comes out in the open, because I'm already having people ask me, well, there's not that much talk about Azerbaijan. Yeah, they can't yet. We're the only ones that talked about it being the one. And then when it happened, literally 34 days later, the helicopter goes down in Azerbaijan from Azerbaijan and Iran celebration together. They took off and boom, they were dead. The president of Iran was dead, and all of his Iran regime staff dead, just like that. Wow. So it started the whole thing. We gave the warning after that happened and said, that is a trigger. And even some of those words that I gave in June, July of 2024 said it was the door that was open. I've been listening to those words to hear what I say. We talk a lot of things, right? You don't remember everything you say. So I will go back and I listen to the details. One of the things that we said a lot, and I mentioned this, a couple of months ago, that Iran would be taken down in part through Azerbaijan. In other words, Iran is not going to be taken down just through Azerbaijan, but in part. But it's a major part, and most people don't realize that. That's why that became the trigger point when the helicopter went down. I came out and told everybody I'm going to get in trouble for this probably, but this Iran did it. It was Mossad that did it, and it was a trigger point for the regime to come down. I said from now on the regime will come down after the Azerbaijan experience. So those of you who are questioning me about where's Azerbaijan and all this, that's it. It was triggered by in Azerbaijan when the helicopter went down with the Iranian president in it, right? The Iran regime president. So, yeah, most people. Let me talk about the Azeri people for a minute, the Azerbaijani people, in a way that you're going to be shocked. Do you know what the supreme leader? You know where he was from? Ali Khamenei, Ayatollah Khamenei. You know where he was born. You know where he was. What blood he had in his veins. He was Azerbaijani. Look it up yourself. Azeri, Azeri, Azeri. Yeah, the president of Iran right now. Look it up. Guess what nationality he is? Azerbaijani, Azeri. He's an Azeri, which means Azerbaijan. The Ayatollah Khamenei, who's now dead, the supreme leader was Azeri, Azerbaijani. The president of Iran right now, have they killed him? He is also an Azeri, Azerbaijani. So we're going to find out a whole lot of things later. You can look it all up. It's all right there to see. There's so much about Azerbaijan that cannot be talked about right now because the job is not finished yet, and Azerbaijan needs to be safe before a lot of it can be revealed. Some of it has been being revealed, and I've talked about it a little bit. I don't know if you're able to hear that or not, but yes, it's all Azerbaijan was the trigger for all of it to happen. Azerbaijan was the trigger for all of it to happen. Okay, I repeat that so people are questioning me about it, and thank you for asking me. Thanks for saying it. But we're not seeing too much about Azerbaijan, Randy. What's going on? You said Iran was going to be taken down through Azerbaijan, and we're hardly even hearing anything about it. It's Israel fighting, the U.S. fighting, but where's Azerbaijan at? Well, it all triggered with Azerbaijan. That's a proven fact, and you will see that, like I said, even the supreme leader, his bloodline was Azerbaijan, and so is the president of Iran. He's also Azerbaijani. Look it up for yourself. They call it Azeri, Azeri. Okay, I've repeated that a couple times. I think you should have it by now. hopefully. And so most people didn't know that. There's a whole lot that people don't know. They're going to find out real soon about the strategies that were used for Azerbaijan, just as we gave it before it ever began to happen. That God showed me in 2007, 2008, that it was going to go down. And it was hard to believe. I mean, I knew nothing about it, therefore I didn't struggle as much. But people who knew about Iran, I'm like, Randy, that like that ain't going to happen, man. That's just crazy. And it's as everyone can see, the Iran situation, the war. You're seeing how complicated it is, how massive it is, how big it is. So when God showed me as the Iran regime was going to be taken down, this was not a lightweight situation. This was a rooted, very rooted, like I think Anya's talked about octopus or uh, a tree with all the roots all over the globe, literally all over the globe. And so it's a very, 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 very big deal. And they used Azerbaijan because Azerbaijan, as you can read and find for yourself, everybody knows this. It's all over the place. Israel and Azerbaijan were very, very, very good friends. They shared all intelligence together. They shared, Israel shared weapons. Uh, Azerbaijan shared oil. Azerbaijan has a lot of oil out of the Caspian Sea, which is right there in Baku. Baku is the capital of Azerbaijan, and so that's what got me interested in it. I started for some reason I got obsessed with it, and that's when God started showing me. So anyway, that was back in 2007, 2008. But so Israel and Azerbaijan have been very, very, very connected. Now listen to this, so you can get a hold of this. Why it's Azerbaijan? Because Israel and Azerbaijan have shared intelligence, and Israel has given Azerbaijan all of its, secret, if not secret information, but weapons and weaponry and technology to make it very powerful. And Azerbaijan is a very powerful force, ferocious, fierce force. Why? Because Israel supplied them. Why? Because Azerbaijan supplied Israel with oil. So if you share intelligence, that means that you share what's going on at a dam being celebrated together, and that they're in three old American helicopters. And you knew in plenty of time this was going to happen because it was set up a long time ago. And all the intelligence agencies knew all that about each other, knew every weakness of that helicopter that went down. The American helicopter, because they were American helicopters that they flew in when the Iran president went down. Old American helicopter. They knew everything, every weakness about every one of those helicopters, and they knew exactly, like intelligence agencies do, how to make a plane go down, how to have somebody crash in an airplane. You hear stories about this all the time with Russia and even, it's all over the place. It's nothing new. Intelligence agencies know everything about everything they drive, where they're at, where they stay. You ought to know that by now if you've been watching what Iran has been dealt many, many blows and been surprised by the intelligence agencies of Israel and Mossad, knowing exactly where they're at when they get there. You think they didn't take down the helicopter? You have to be a lunatic. Not a lunatic. You have to be goofy to think that, oh no, that's the only helicopter went down and it just happened to have the Iran president in it. Oh no, that wasn't Mossad. It couldn't be. They would never do anything so dastardly. And I just look at people and I go like, man, I don't know, man. Help me, Jesus. Because it's just obvious. And then look at all the other things, the people that are taken down, the leadership. And you think we just happen to miss the guy in line to take Iran's place when Khamenei died. We just we forgot about him. Oh, look, he kind of fell through the cracks. Literally, he fell through the cracks and happened to crash his helicopter in the side of a mountain in eastern province Azerbaijan, which is the word we gave Azerbaijan 34 days before that, before it was a blink in anybody's eye. Because the Lord showed it to me, and I was trying to figure out how Israel would retaliate against the Iranian regime attacks on it on June the 13th. June on March, maybe it was April the 13th. I think it was April the 13th. Yeah, it was April the 13th. Iran attacked Israel for the first time ever. And so I was, asking God, how are they going to retaliate, God, on that show that I did this all, where this all happened, and about bombing the Iranian nuclear sites. All those words are right there. April the 16th, May uh, May the 20th, 2024, May through June, and through July. I gave words about it over and over and over again, perfecting it, explaining that the regime, well, it was the regime, not the people of Iran that were going to be taken down. Why would God take down the people? They're just innocent people trying to live a good life. So I was explaining all of that, and every time I talk about it, I talk about the word again. So I said that Iran would be taken down in part through Azerbaijan. I said that only one time, maybe twice, in part explaining that I know that Iran not going to be taken down just through Azerbaijan, but it's the door. And we talked about it on those words, how it's the door that opened up, the trigger that started it all was through Azerbaijan. All that is explained to answer all you guys' questions that are asking those questions. Thank you for asking them. Excuse me. And that is the answer. And the answers will come more as the war is over and Azerbaijan can be revealed how Azerbaijan was used gloriously, and the president Ali Ilham Aliyev was used to take down a regime that was evil. I think they're going to sit back right now. They're going to talk about it, but they can't talk about it right now. The fullness of it until this is all done. So the words already come to pass and still coming to pass. How Azerbaijan was extremely involved in the process. It will all come out in the future. It's just you have to understand how this stuff goes. It's a very delicate situation to be neighboring and be friends with Iran, and then at the same time being used to undermine them and take them down. It causes great hate from Iran to Azerbaijan when they know for sure that that's going to happen. Difficult thing. All right. So, anybody got anything they want to talk about? Anybody got any questions? Anybody got any answers? Anybody, maybe you've been questioning where's Azerbaijan and all this? I've explained it a few times, but sometimes it takes the time for things to kick in. We've already talked about how it began, and the trigger word for it all was from those words in April 2024, May, June, and July, and then on. I haven't even gone past July. We're right in the middle of July on 2024 on all those shows. I'm listening to every show and go through the whole show quickly and find them and document it and all the different ways that we said it so we can make sure that it's clear that it wasn't just Azerbaijan. It said Azerbaijan, Iran will be taken down in part through Azerbaijan, in part, meaning I knew that they're not the only ones that were being used, but mainly, mostly, because Israel and them were very, very close intelligence friends and shared intelligence on everything. So that answers a lot of questions. If you know anything about intelligence agencies. All right. Awesome. So is Trump's dollar strategy uh, to slowly withdraw from it, the globe from uh, the dollar's undeniable failure? Is it working? I hope so. I really hope so. I know it's going to work. We're gonna have our own system, our own nets already set up. But how will it affect those that are not prepared or are foolish versions? That will be sad, I'm afraid, if they don't get their stuff going quick and get right with God quick. You don't want to be called a fool. You don't want to miss your door open for you. Do not miss that for anybody or anything. Do not miss it because that's what the wise versions did. It's not selfish. It's wise. There's a difference. Okay. Anybody else got anything? Anybody have anything to say? Nobody said anything yet. If you got anything you'd like to say, you can ask questions like I tried to answer a lot of questions tonight. Um, things that we've talked about before. Did America experience a Nineveh turn after Trump's assassination attempt? If so, if we did have a Nineveh, if anything, what changed about America's greatness? Yeah, that's a really good thought. A lot. Uh, if Trump hadn't become president and Biden, I'm just using Biden as an example, and if Biden would have continued to be president the second term or whoever, that it would not stop the end of the end times from happening. That's what does not change. That's what will not change. And even though Trump became president, uh, that it still doesn't change that the end of the end times is coming. You can see that by what's going on, right? It didn't change any of that. But what it changes is the in between, how it happens, how we end up in the end of the end times. Trump will do a different thing than Biden's style would do, the far left or whoever. A whole different thing, but it's still going to the same place. It's still heading toward the direction of the end of the end times, regardless of whether Trump would have won or anybody else would have won. And that's why, it made no difference to me. The thing I love about Trump getting it is because it makes things really a little bit easier for us who are believers. That's the good part about it. But Biden people would have taken it to the same place, just with a different style and a different way. You notice during Biden's time, Israel was still bombing Iran, right? They didn't get as much help from the U.S. as Trump has been giving, but they still took out all of Iran's eyes, took out their sights that gave them ability to fight back. That still all happened during Biden. So it still went on, right? Trump just accelerated the end of the end times. That's why I told people, I said, if Trump gets elected, it's not going to be good. And what I meant by not good, meaning that good for those who think that Trump's going to end it all. He's going to give us another few more years, maybe a bunch more years, by delaying everything of the end of the end time. I said that if you think that's what's going to happen, you know, it's not going to be good for Trump to be president because he's going to accelerate it. But I did say it's not going to be good, but I meant not being good, meaning that he was not going to delay it like everybody thought that he would. Instead, he has accelerated it, just the opposite of what everybody thought, especially going to war. It's just the opposite of what everybody thought would happen with Trump. Right? Most people agree with that. Anybody? Trump promised that he wouldn't get in wars. Well, he's ending a war. Like the way they're bringing it forth is that he's ending a war that Iran's had with us for 47 years. By calling us the big Satan and saying death to America and killing a lot of our soldiers and attacking us. They're considering that war against us first. So they're going to war. They're going to finish the war, not start a war. That's kind of how they're putting it. And I kind of like that. I think it's pretty cool, actually. So Iran and China and Russia and North Korea and all those guys, a bunch more, have had a long-term plan that one day wake up and do some things all across the globe to fear in people, close the Strait of Hormuz or shut it down to our people, cause our economies to fail. And that would have been really, that's where it was headed. That's what is being stopped right now, is that. Does anybody understand that? Does anybody, am I making it really clear? I can't tell if I'm making it clear enough. That's what Trump is stopping, is the future plans of China, Russia. And we've talked about that, like I said, the last few months, and their whole strategy. They're still trying to work their strategy with this, helping delay the Iran war and bring more destruction to Israel and to us, and interfering with what's happening with the U.S. fighting Iran. They're trying to stop that. They're trying to hinder it, trying to linger it on, trying to interfere with it. Not because they care about it, because because they have a strategy to get stagflation going on. And that's their whole strategy. So when you see it like that, and understand it like that, you get a hold of it and you realize, wow, no wonder Trump's doing this. No wonder God has Trump doing this, and God does have Trump doing it because I know because I got a prophetic word on it long before it began. All right, so we're going to win the war. How much of a delay we're going to have? That's the big question. Anybody got any questions on that? If you don't have any more questions, I may just call it a night. We'll see what goes on. Uh, I want to talk about how the stars. I got the other day, about 3 or 4, 5 days ago. I got the words in my spirit. The stars are falling. The stars are falling. Well, if you know about stars, if it's symbology, stars are like when Michael cast down the stars from heaven, cast Satan out, right? So when you hear about stars, let's look at this. All right, Revelations 1:6. The seven stars represent the angels of the seven churches. Uh, stars are like angels or demons, right? The churches are like seven stars. Um, all right. Uh, you see right here, Revelations 12, where let's look at that for a second. You want to talk about this for a minute, or you want me to call it a night? You can call it a night if you want. We can do this thing. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12. Chapter 12, verse 4. All right. It says, so I heard the words. The word of the Lord that I got was the stars were falling from heaven, from the sky, from heaven. All right. So verse 3, 12:3. Another sign in heaven, behold, a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his head. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. She bore a male child to rule nations with a rod of iron. Her child was caught up to God into his throne, and the woman fled to the wilderness, and on and on. And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was place found with them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent old of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So um, I know that right now, what's happening in Iran has a lot to do with Persia. When Daniel was there, and when the warfare that went on between Michael and between Michael and with Michael and Gabriel fighting the principalities of Persia, uh, you know, there was a war going on with that. Right now, there's a war going on. I believe that the war going on over the heavens is a sign. What's going on in Iran is a sign of what's going on in the heavens with Michael wrestling with the devil and his angels and his uh, call this? Yeah, yeah, and his angels, and Satan and his angels, calls them angels. All right, so the Bible actually calls Satan's uh, friends and army angels. He said they were cast out with him. What I believe and what I think is happening is something to the effect of Daniel, what happened in Daniel's days, except we have Michael, who is, I'm connected with Michael spiritually. Uh, he has come to me in a dream vision and revealed himself. He just didn't say a word to me, just stared at me and looked at me and got a good look at me. And for some reason, that's all that needed to happen. And I guess we just connected or reconnected with me and knows, I guess the Father's told him about the mission that he has me on in particular. Everybody's got a mission, but he, is involved in the mission with me in particular. And so he said, getting a good facial of me so he could recognize me, I guess. I'm not sure what that was. But okay, so a third of the stars, Revelation chapter 12, 4, 7 through 9. A third of the stars swept from heaven by the dragon's tail is generally interpreted as the fall of angels who rebelled against with Satan. These these stars represented demonic powers of dark angels who were cast down. Revelation 9:1, the star fallen from heaven to the earth, who is given the key to the bottomless pit, is interpreted as a fallen angel or a high-ranking demonic spirit, Abaddon or Apollyon. Wandering stars, Jude 13, associated with fallen angels. These are depicted as having lost their place in God's light, destined for darkness and judgment. Jude 13. Look at it. It's actually verse 13. Can you believe that? Wandering stars. All right. Angels of the church. Jesus holds seven stars in his hand. Explain the angels of the seven churches. And then we have angels again, stars. So angels are stars. Yeah? Yeah. Awesome. Stars are often associated with angels or people of prominence, like the church. Very, very interesting. Okay, very cool. Hope you're able to get some of that. I'm not sure people are still with me tonight. Maybe gone already. What's up with that? No, it's all good. Where did my stuff go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so nobody's talking to me yet. I guess we're good. But I got that word, so I know that I do believe that. Uh, okay, Deborah says we are listening. Very interesting. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, so that's kind of what's happening with that. I got that word, like I said, just a few days ago. Let's see, I don't know, maybe several days ago. The stars are falling, just like that. I don't know, like don't think about stars. Didn't have stars. Wasn't studying stars. Had nothing to do with stars. All of a sudden, the word in my spirit went, "The stars are falling," and I went, "Wow, I better look that up." The stars are falling. Thought it was gonna be a new song or something. I didn't know. No, I kind of knew, sort of thought I knew what it might mean, but I didn't know for sure. Okay, so very interesting. Uh, Trump, who's a no war president, has now done things that at least makes him look like he's a war person. So have the end times slowed down or sped up? They've definitely sped up. I think he's doing a good job. I think he's fulfilling the word of the Lord. That's the third. There's three words that he's fulfilled, and I've talked about many times. Uh, I'd like to share them really quickly with you. Three words that we've given here that were big words that Trump has fulfilled or is in the process of fulfilling. The first one was the Iran nuclear site being bombed by a bomb. Like I saw Israel doing it, but yet Israel and Trump were in it together, right? So I guess it's the same thing. That I saw like as the bomb hit, an earthquake hit, or the earthquake hit as the bomb hit. I wasn't sure, but I just saw it happening in the spirit. Didn't understand it. Just like John the Revelator, he was seeing military helicopters and didn't have a clue what it was. So he just tried to explain them. And he was seeing helicopters, but he didn't know it because he'd never seen one, right? That was very foreign to them at the time, very, very foreign. So he's seen things that he didn't understand. I can understand that a little bit, how you see things, but you don't understand what it is. So what happened, how it fulfilled it was Trump, Israel was bombing those Iran's nuclear sites after the 13th, after the April the 13th attack from Israel. They countered by hitting Iran's nuclear sites, and we had just given that word on April the 16th, about 2 hours into the show. You can go look at it yourself. If you have a hard time finding uh, that site, let me know, and I'll. You have to do it on your computer. You can't do it on your phone. I think you have to do it on your computer. At least I have to. And it's called Spreaker, SPREAKER.com. And you go to the Randy Chandler and you go down to the sites in 2024, April 16th, and it's about 2 hours or so into the show. You'll hear it. And then in May, I brought it up again. And I have all those documented in the timing exactly where they were, so you don't have to look. So you know exactly what we said, when we said it, how we said it, and it's all live, right? Uh, so we said that. Trump brought that to pass. That's already been fulfilled. That was a warning to Iran saying, we're coming to take you down. And the other word we gave on April the 16th, about 2 hours into the show, was that uh, uh, where I said Iran will be taken down in part through Azerbaijan, in part through Azerbaijan. And so those words, I think it was April, it may have been, it's April the 16th, and then, yeah, several times. So there you go. So then now he's bringing the word to pass about taking the Iran regime down. That's literally happening right now. And also, the word we gave in 2021 about a new system that Trump is going to, a global system with Elon Musk help, is going to be taking place with the gold and silver of Texas, and they're also fulfilling that, as you know, that's already being fulfilled. All right, Deborah goes, do you think that the stars are falling? Meaning all of the people that have been placed on high in worldly places are being taken down. I'm not saying that, but I think that could be a part of it. Yeah, good job on that. The stars are falling. Yeah, because that does make sense. Just like the movie stars, they're well-known people, right? Yeah, that's a good thought. I had not particularly thought about it in that light, but I think it could be manyfold for sure, because I think that will happen. People in high, just think about what happened with, the most popular, one of the most popular pastors in the world, uh, you know, in Texas. Remember him? The guy who had relations, had messed around, played around with a 12-year-old girl. Yeah, I mean that was amazing, and he just fell. He fell. He was a star. He was really a star. He was a star, and he fell really, really quick. Yeah, he fell really, really quick. So Robert Morse, in case you guys don't know who that is, Robert Morse was a star of a pastor, a star. He was on TBN, Daystar, well known, famous, very famous, and he fell in a drop of a hat in a few seconds. So yeah, I think that could very well be a good interpretation of that being taken down. Yeah, because we know also that the regime, they are also stars, also not on our planet, but they're bad stars, right? The stars meaning uh, Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, is now dead, right? And all of his stars, he was the sun in a sense, and all of his buddies, about 40 of them, were all killed in one spot. They were all like the sun and the moon in a sense. like Pharaoh and Egypt, the sun and the moon and the stars. So, yeah, the stars can be good and can be bad. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that'll fit. That makes sense. I'm glad you brought that up. We'll have to document that and get that in there. Thank you for that, by the way. And anybody else got anything you want to say about all that? That would be awesome. Got something you want to share? You can send me a text, or you can get on the Turbo Bridge and talk from there if you like. That'd be fine. Yeah, I think that that could definitely be mean the stars falling may mean all of the people that have been placed on high and worldly places are being taken down. Yeah, it sure looks like it. Robert Morris was one of the biggest Christian ones that I knew of, and of course, we're talking about Marcus Lamb. Marcus Lamb, he was a big star. I mean, as far as on the network, a multimillionaire. Uh, my wife always said, Randy, quit talking about Marcus and Joni. They're not going to be taken down and taken out because they're too rich and famous. That's what she said many times. And I went, dear, I can't, man. I wish I could. I'd like to make you happy, but I got to obey God. I'm sorry. And she'd get frustrated with me. Bless her heart. Just try living with somebody stubborn as me. It'd be really be horrible. It would not be. It would not be easy. That's for sure. Especially when you're trying to help him out and he's just not really listening that well. Okay, so yeah, I mean, marriage and family, man, we just like it gets crazy. That's why families are families, because we can do crazy stuff and it's just normal, right? Yeah. All right. Very, very good. Anybody else got anything you want to add or say? I would love to hear it. All you got to do is just tell me your opinion or tell me somebody else's opinion, and we will take it from there and work that thing a little bit. Yeah, the stars falling could very well. It's going to be a lot of falling for sure. I mean, little people, little stars, big stars, uh, angels. Thank God the angels they're not going to fall anymore. But the Satan's angels, Satan's buddies, they're going to fall. Right? That's what we're talking about tonight. They're going to go down, and that's for sure. Yeah, the stars falling from heaven. Yeah, and these are in heaven. These demonic powers are in heaven. You know, some people think that's already happened. Some people think it's in the future. Some people think it's both. Whatever. I just tell you what I hear, and then you can take it however God gives it to you and apply it whatever way you get. And then when all the dust settles, and people ask me about the question about it looks like you might be wrong about America being great again. Well, it does kind of look like that a little bit, I think, but the dust hasn't even settled yet. We're right in the middle of a possible stagflation. I mean, that's not great. I don't think. I don't think that's great. And so, I mean, I hope we don't have a stagflation problem. But if we do, we got a net already put up. It needs to be activated sooner. I think they couldn't do it sooner. I guess maybe they'll come up and speed it up a little bit. I'm not sure if they even can or not. They actually started it pretty fast because Trump didn't come in until 2025, right? And he started passing it, within a few months. Him and Abbott started passing those laws right away. So when I started thinking about it, how much faster could they have done it? Because Biden was in before that. After Biden wasn't going to do that. That's why when Trump became president, I knew that, you know, we talked about that a little bit about a possible Nineveh. Uh, I still believed it wasn't going to happen, right? Because that's what, just like Jonah didn't believe it was going to happen. He got mad. You can tell he believed it wasn't going to happen because he got mad when it happened. If he'd already decided it's going to happen, he would already been worked through his anger. But no, he was very angry. And Jesus later called Jonah great. He said, "But what are greater than Jonah is me." That's what Jesus said about himself. So it's very interesting. Um, People just don't understand all that stuff. They don't understand what Isaiah told Hezekiah, "It's over for you." That it meant literally it's over for him. We know the future. That's the only reason we can go, well, no, but he changed his mind. But nobody knew that until it happened. Nobody knew that he was going to live 15 more years until 15 years happened. Could have been 14, could have been 16. I mean, it was 15. Wow, interesting. But people don't think about that. So it's Christianity, it's people. Christianity is full of people. People are like me. They need help. Okay, it's only 9:30, so we'll be getting off early tonight. Anybody has any more questions? You want to send me a text? Talk to me through Turbo uh, Bridge. You can do that if you want. And if I don't get anything pretty quick, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I'd love to be with you guys. I can be up here a couple of hours, man. Longer. I probably one night here on PGN a few months ago. I think it went for 5 hours. So I've got plenty of strength and energy and zeal and all that. I just need something to talk about, something to do. If not, I just take off and take it easy and enjoy my time off. Deborah, thanks for that question about the stars. Uh, People are wondering, kind of what's going on with what's going to happen with Iran. We've already talked about what's going to happen with Iran, the overall. So if you got any more questions about that, we can try to answer specifically if you would like. Just let us know. That would be cool. All right, I'm going to give it a few more minutes and then we're going to call it a night tonight. Okay, so Deborah says, Mark, off topic, but have you read the book of Enoch? Mark has started to read it, says it's interesting. No, I have not read it yet. That would be an interesting read. The book of Enoch. We definitely know Enoch was a cool guy, that's for sure. No, I've never read any of those. that would be interesting. Let me know let me know, Mark, how you go through that and what do you think about it. Um, yeah, I think a lot of times those books have some very interesting things going on with them, and you can definitely just get some different ideas. That's for sure. But have I read them? No, not yet. All right, it talks about the Nephilim. Deborah Mark saying it talks about the Nephilim, and so far it goes into more detail on Garden of Eden and the creation. He's just started it recently. Okay, interesting. I don't know. I have not. I don't know anything about it. Okay. Okay. Andrea says Yvonne said her husband's bank teller told him to pull all of his money out of checking and put it in savings. The teller mentioned about no cash and going digital. Not sure if she was referring to gold back. Interesting. So Yvonne, this is Andrea. Yvonne is her friend, and said that her friend Yvonne said uh, her husband's bank teller told him to pull all of his money out of checking and put it in savings. What? The teller telling what bank is that? Do you know what bank that is? The teller mentioned about no cash and going digital. Not sure if she was referring to go. Yeah, I need to ask. That would be. There's so many different ways that can go. If we can find out more on that, that would be awesome. But yeah, uh, that's Andrea bringing that up. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of different things going on with all this stuff. I find out the name. Okay, yeah, find out the name of the bank if you would, and if you can get more information on what teller that was and talk to that teller. I can't believe they're letting their tellers talk like that. I don't know. I mean, I just that's really unusual for me. I've never had a teller. I'm very friendly with everybody, and I talk. We have fun and talk to her. I've never had one tell me that yet. Of course, my bank knows that I took 90 to 95% of my cash out, which was saved up for years, and they did not like that because they thought I was going to be ruining myself. Come to find out, they were wrong, but they were just trying to help me. I really believe that. Okay, yeah, Andrea, find the name if you will. If you get a hold of her sometime, and let us know about that. I would love to find out who that teller was and find out more details of what she was saying about all of it. Very, very interesting. All right, that's really, really cool. Yeah, y'all, that's very interesting. I don't know. I would like to find out more about that specifically because I know a little bit about some of this stuff, and so that just provokes a lot of questions with me, right? That's what it does to me. It causes me to want to ask a lot of questions, like what in the world are they talking about? Let's see how this is working. Okay, y'all. Very interesting. I don't know how to talk about that. I don't know much about what they're saying, what they're not saying. All right, I don't know why that's not working. I have a lighting kit here. I'm trying to get working. Hmm, something's not right. What's that? Okay, it's not working for me. So there we go, right there. No wonder. I got it to work. How about that? Oh, all right. I'm playing with some lighting that I have had for a long time. I just haven't been able to use it yet. All right, all right, you guys. I think that's it. Everybody satisfied with to answer your questions? I think I did. Okay, Sandra's gonna find the name of that, and we will go from there and see what goes on. Yeah. everybody, thank you so much. Thanks for being with us, and we're going to call it a night tonight. God bless everybody. Talk to you tomorrow night. Bye bye. Thank you, Deborah. It was a great night. All right. See you guys Wednesday tomorrow night. Bye bye.